The Galactic Council Station floated in the cold darkness of space like a jewel made of light and metal. It was the center of all power in the galaxy. Here, the great alien races made their laws. Here, they decided who lived and who died. Humanity had been part of this council for only 47 years. In galactic terms, they were babies. Nobody took them seriously. Elara Chen was 12 years old. She had brown eyes, dark hair that never stayed in place, and a curious mind that always got her into trouble. Her father, Marcus Chen, was Earth's ambassador to the Galactic Council. This meant Elara had grown up among aliens. She spoke 3 galactic languages. She knew which species to bow to and which ones found bowing offensive. She was smart, brave, and on this particular night, she was in the wrong place at the wrong time. She had been exploring the lower levels of the station. Her father had told her many times not to wander alone. But Elara was 12, and 12-year-olds do not always listen to their fathers. She had found a maintenance tunnel that led to a beautiful garden area. She wanted to see the glowing flowers that only bloomed in artificial moonlight. She never reached the garden. Through a crack in a doorway, she saw something she was never meant to see. 2 tall figures stood over a body. The body belonged to Ambassador Veth, a Velthari diplomat. Elara had met him once. He had been kind to her. He had given her a small crystal that changed colors in her hand. Now he was dead. His blue blood spread across the white floor. The 2 figures wore the black armor of the Korvathi hegemony. The Korvathi were one of the most powerful races in the galaxy. They were tall with gray skin and 4 arms. Their eyes were completely black. They were known for their cruelty and their hunger for power. One of them was cleaning a blade. The other was speaking into a communicator. "It is done," the second one said. "Ambassador Veth will no longer oppose our expansion into the neutral zones." Elara's heart pounded so hard she thought they might hear it. She took a step backward. Her foot hit a loose panel. It made a small sound. Such a small sound. But it was enough. The 2 Korvathi turned. Their black eyes found her in the darkness. Elara ran. She ran faster than she had ever run in her life. But the Korvathi were faster. One of them caught her before she reached the end of the corridor. His 4 hands grabbed her arms and legs. She screamed. She kicked. She bit. It did not matter. He was too strong. They took her to a dark room and locked her inside. She sat in the corner and cried. She wanted her father. She wanted to go home. She wanted to wake up and discover this was all a bad dream. But it was not a dream. The next morning, Elara was brought before the Galactic Council. The great chamber was enormous. Hundreds of alien representatives sat in floating platforms arranged in a massive circle. In the center, on a throne of pure crystal, sat Supreme Arbiter Thesson Moore. Thesson Moore was ancient. He was made of living crystal, and light moved inside his body like slow lightning. He had been the galactic judge for 3,000 years. His word was law. His decisions could not be challenged. Next to him stood High Magistrate Zorath Velkan of the Korvathi hegemony. He was the one who had ordered Ambassador Veth's death. He looked at Elara with those empty black eyes, and she saw no mercy there, only cold calculation. "This human child," Zorath said, his voice echoing through the chamber, "has witnessed a matter of state security. She has seen things that could destabilize the peace of the galaxy. I invoke the law of inconvenient witnesses. I demand her execution." A murmur went through the council. Some representatives looked uncomfortable. Others looked bored. A human child was not important to them. Humans were not important to them. Marcus Chen pushed through the crowd. 2 guards tried to stop him, but he shoved them aside. He was not a large man, but in that moment, he looked like he could tear the station apart with his bare hands. "You cannot do this," he shouted. "She is a child. She is 12 years old." Thesson Moore turned his crystalline head toward the human ambassador. Light flickered inside him like distant stars. "Ambassador Chen," he said, his voice like wind chimes in a storm, "the law is clear. Your daughter witnessed a classified event. The law of inconvenient witnesses has existed for 10,000 years. It applies to all species, even yours." "She witnessed a murder," Marcus shouted. "Your Korvathi allies killed Ambassador Veth. My daughter is the victim here, not the criminal." Zorath Velkan smiled. It was not a pleasant smile. "These are serious accusations, Ambassador. Do you have proof? Marcus opened his mouth. Then he closed it. He had no proof, only his daughter's word. And in this chamber, the word of a human child meant nothing. Tassan Moore raised one crystalline hand. The chamber fell silent. I have made my decision, he announced. The human child, Alara Chen, will be executed in 3 solar cycles. This session is concluded. Alara screamed for her father as guards dragged her away. Marcus tried to reach her, but more guards held him back. He fought them. He cursed them. He threatened them. None of it mattered. The great races of the galaxy watched in silence. Some felt pity. Most felt nothing at all. This was how the galaxy worked. The strong made the rules. The weak obeyed. Humans were weak. They would learn to accept this. That night, Marcus Chen sat alone in his quarters. His hands were shaking. His eyes were red from crying. On his desk was a picture of Alara on her last birthday. She was smiling. She was holding a cake. She looked so happy. He picked up his communicator. He entered a code that connected directly to Earth's government, a code that was only to be used in the most extreme emergencies. A voice answered, Ambassador Chen, what is your status? Marcus stared at the picture of his daughter. His voice was steady when he spoke, steady and cold and full of something that the galaxy had never seen from humanity before. They took her, he said. They took my daughter, and they are going to kill her. There was a long silence on the other end. Then the voice spoke again. Understood, Ambassador. Hold position. Help is coming. Marcus ended the transmission. He looked out the window at the stars. Somewhere out there, Earth was listening. Somewhere out there, his people were preparing to answer. The galaxy thought humans were weak. The galaxy thought humans would beg and cry and accept their fate. The galaxy was about to learn how wrong it was. On Earth's moon, there was a place called Luna Base. It was the headquarters of the United Earth Navy. Deep underground, in rooms made of steel and concrete, the most powerful people in human civilization gathered around a table. On the table was a hologram of a little girl with brown hair and brown eyes. Admiral Yuki Tanaka sat at the head of the table. She was 62 years old. Her hair was gray and a scar ran down the left side of her face from a battle long ago. Her eyes were dark and sharp like a hawk's. She had commanded human fleets for 30 years. She had never lost a battle. She had never left a soldier behind. The council has scheduled the execution for 3 days from now, said a man in a suit. He was the Secretary of Defense. Our diplomatic channels have been rejected. They will not negotiate. Then we do not negotiate, Admiral Tanaka said. The room went quiet. Everyone looked at her. Admiral, said the Secretary, you are talking about attacking the Galactic Council. They have over 4,000 warships. We have less than 500. The math does not work. Tanaka looked at the hologram of Alara Chen. The girl was smiling in the picture. She looked like Tanaka's own granddaughter. That girl is 12 years old, Tanaka said slowly. She did nothing wrong. She saw something she should not have seen, and now they want to kill her to protect a murderer. I do not care about math. I care about bringing her home. The president of Earth spoke for the first time. She was a tall woman with white hair and tired eyes. Admiral, what do you need? Everything, Tanaka said. Every ship, every soldier, every weapon we have. If we are going to do this, we do it with everything. The president nodded slowly. The galaxy will see this as an act of war. Good, Tanaka said. Let them. The order went out within the hour. Every human ship in the galaxy received the same message. Return to formation. Prepare for combat. Tell no one. And then Earth went silent. The Galactic Council noticed the silence almost immediately. Human diplomats stopped attending meetings. Human traders stopped responding to communications. Human ships disappeared from their usual routes. It was as if humanity had simply stopped existing. The council was confused at first. Then they became annoyed. Then slowly, some of them began to feel something they had not felt in a very long time. Fear. They are planning something, said the Velthari representative. This silence is not surrender. This is preparation. Zorath Velkan laughed. Preparation for what? They have nothing. A few hundred ships against our thousands? They would be destroyed in minutes. Perhaps, said the Velthari, but I have studied humans. They are strange creatures. They do not think like us. They do not surrender when they should. They do not give up when logic says they must. And they protect their children with a fury that other species cannot understand. Zorath waved one of his 4 hands dismissively. They will learn their place. On the council station, Ilara sat in a small cell made of crystal. The walls glowed with soft light. There was a bed, a toilet, and nothing else. She had cried until she had no more tears. Now she just sat and stared at the wall. The door opened. 2 guards threw another prisoner inside. This one was human, a woman with short black hair and strong arms. She wore the torn uniform of a United Earth Marine. "Watch this one," one guard said to the other. She already broke the arm of the last guard who touched her. The guards left. The woman stood up and brushed herself off. She looked at Ilara, and her hard face softened. "Hey there," she said. "I am Sergeant Kira Vasquez. What is your name?" "Ilara," the girl whispered. "Ilara Chen." Kira's eyes widened. "Chen? Ambassador Chen's daughter?" She sat down next to Ilara. "I heard what happened. The whole station is talking about it. That was very brave, what you did, running from those Korvathi." "I was not brave," Ilara said. "I was scared. I am still scared." Kira put an arm around her. "Being scared and still doing what you have to do. That is the definition of brave, little one." "They are going to kill me," Ilara said. Her voice was empty. "The judge said so." "No," Kira said firmly. "They are not." "How do you know?" Kira smiled. It was a fierce smile, full of teeth. "Because I know our people. We do not leave anyone behind, ever. Your father sent a message home, yes?" Ilara nodded. "Then help is coming," Kira said. "I promise you, help is coming. And when it arrives, these aliens are going to wish they had never heard the word human." 2 days passed. The execution was scheduled for the next morning. Supreme Arbiter. Thesson Moore sat in his chambers, feeling pleased with himself. The human problem would soon be solved. One dead child, and humanity would learn to obey. It was simple. It was efficient. It was the way the galaxy worked. His assistant entered. "Supreme Arbiter, Ambassador Chen has requested a final audience with you." Thesson Moore considered refusing, but it might be amusing to see the human beg one last time. "Send him in." Marcus Chen walked into the chamber. He did not look like a man whose daughter was about to die. His back was straight. His eyes were clear. There was something in his face that Thesson Moore did not recognize. "Supreme Arbiter," Marcus said, "I have come to give you one last chance." Thesson Moore laughed. The sound was like breaking glass. "You give me a chance? Human? Do you understand your position?" "I understand it perfectly," Marcus said. "You have until dawn to release my daughter. This is not a request." Thesson Moore leaned forward. Light crackled inside his crystal body. "Or what? Human? What will you do?" Marcus Chen smiled, but there was no warmth in it, no humor. Only something cold and dark and very, very patient. "You will find out." He turned and walked away. Thesson Moore watched him go with amusement. Humans were such dramatic creatures, always making threats they could not keep, always pretending to be stronger than they were. An hour later, a censor officer rushed into the Arbiter's chamber. His face was pale with shock. "Supreme Arbiter, our long-range sensors have detected something." "What is it?" The officer swallowed hard. "Ships, Supreme Arbiter. Human ships. Hundreds of them. They just appeared at the edge of the system." He paused. "They are heading directly toward us." For the first time in 3,000 years, Thesson Moore felt something cold move through his crystal heart. The humans had come. The stars themselves seemed to tear open. Holes in space appeared, glowing with blue and white light. From these holes came ships. Human ships. More ships than the galaxy had ever seen humanity gather in one place. 487 warships emerged from hyperspace in perfect formation. They were not pretty ships. They were not elegant like the Velthari cruisers or magnificent like the Korvathi battleships. Human ships looked like they were built for one purpose only: war. At the front of the formation were 3 massive vessels. Each one was over 5 kilometers long. These were the Leviathan-class dreadnoughts, the UES Fury of Terra, the UES Wrath of Sol, and the flagship, the UES Retribution. The galaxy had been told these ships were decommissioned. The galaxy had been lied to. On the bridge of the Retribution, Admiral Yuki Tanaka stood with her hands behind her back. Her officers moved around her with quiet efficiency. Everyone knew their job. Everyone was ready. "Fleet status?" Tanaka asked. "All ships in position, Admiral. Weapons charged. Shields at full power." Tanaka nodded. She looked at the view screen. In the distance, she could see the Council station surrounded by thousands of alien warships. The Korvathi had brought their entire home fleet. Other races had contributed ships as well. They thought numbers would be enough. They were wrong. "Open a channel," Tanaka ordered. "All frequencies. I want everyone to hear this." "Channel open, Admiral." Tanaka stepped forward. When she spoke, her voice was calm and clear. It carried across space to every ship, every station, every planet with a receiver. "This is Admiral Yuki Tanaka of the United Earth Navy. You are holding a child of Earth under an unjust sentence of death. Her name is Alara Chen. She is 12 years old. Her only crime was witnessing a murder committed by your allies." She paused. Let the words sink in. "You have 1 hour to release Alara Chen and Sergeant Kira Vasquez unharmed. This is not a negotiation. This is not a discussion. This is your only warning. If you do not comply, we will come and take them ourselves." Another pause. "The next voice you hear from this fleet will be our cannons." The channel closed. Silence filled the bridge. Then one of her officers spoke. "Admiral, the Council is responding. Put it through." The face of Supreme Arbiter Thesson Moore appeared on the screen. Light flickered angrily inside his crystal body. "Admiral Tanaka," he said, "you dare threaten the Galactic Council? You are outnumbered 10 to 1. Your species has been part of galactic civilization for less than 50 years. You are children playing with weapons you do not understand?" Tanaka's expression did not change. "Release the girl. The execution will proceed as scheduled. In fact, I am moving it forward. The human child will die within the hour. You will watch. And then your fleet will be destroyed as punishment for this insult." The screen went dark. Tanaka was quiet for a moment. Then she checked her watch. "Signal all ships." They had their chance. They made their choice. "Admiral, they outnumber us significantly. Casualties will be severe." Tanaka turned to look at her officer. "I know. Every person in this fleet volunteered. They know what is at stake. They know some of them will not go home." She looked back at the view screen. "But that little girl will go home. That is all that matters." She raised her hand. The bridge fell completely silent. Every officer stopped breathing. "All ships," Tanaka said. "Weapons free. Attack pattern Omega. No mercy." She brought her hand down. Space exploded into fire. On the Council station, alarms began to scream. The floor shook as weapons impacts struck the outer shields. Zorath Velkan rushed to the command center, shouting orders at his officers. "Destroy them," he screamed. "They are only humans. Destroy them." But something was wrong. The humans were not fighting like the Korvathi expected. They were not attacking in ordered lines. They were not targeting the obvious weak points. They were doing something no galactic species did. They were fighting dirty. Human ships dove into the middle of enemy formations and fired in all directions. They rammed damaged ships instead of letting them retreat. They targeted bridges and engines instead of weapons. They moved in packs, surrounding single ships and tearing them apart before moving on. The galactic forces had more ships, but humans had spent 10,000 years learning to kill each other. They had refined war into an art form. Every tactic, every strategy, every dirty trick was burned into their blood. The Korvathi flagship Dominion of Stars was the largest ship in the enemy fleet. It was supposed to be untouchable. The UES Fury of Terra changed that. The human dreadnought cut through the escort ships like a knife through paper. Then it turned its main guns on the Dominion. The Korvathi flagship lasted 7 seconds. In her cell, Ilara heard the explosions. The lights flickered. The walls shook. Kira Vasquez was on her feet, a wild grin on her face. "I told you," Kira said. "I told you they would come." She pulled something from her boot. It was a small device, no bigger than a coin. She pressed it, and it began to blink. "Rescue team, this is Sergeant Vasquez. I have the package. We are in detention block 7. Get us out of here." A voice crackled back. "Copy that, Sergeant. Team is on the way. Hold position." Ilara's heart was pounding. They came for me. They really came for me. Of course they did, Kira said. She took Alara's hand. You are one of us. We never leave our people behind. Never. On the bridge of the Retribution, Admiral Tanaka watched the battle unfold. They were taking losses. Good ships. Good people. But they were winning. The Council fleet was falling apart. Admiral, an officer called out, the Council is requesting a ceasefire. They want to negotiate. Tanaka remembered the face of Supreme Arbiter Tassan Moore, the contempt in his voice, the ease with which he had sentenced a child to death. Denied, she said. Continue the attack. Find me Tassan Moore. Admiral? Tanaka turned. Her eyes were cold as space itself. That creature sentenced a 12-year-old girl to death because she was inconvenient. He does not get to negotiate. He does not get to surrender. He gets to face justice. She picked up her sidearm and checked the charge. Prepare my shuttle. I am going to the station personally. Admiral, that is extremely dangerous. I know. She walked toward the door. That is why I am going myself. Some things a commander has to do in person. The door closed behind her. The battle raged on. And on the council station, Supreme Arbiter Tassan Moore was beginning to understand that he had made a terrible mistake. Humans did not forget. Humans did not forgive. And when you hurt one of their children, humans did not stop until justice was done. He had ruled the galaxy for 3,000 years. He had judged countless species. He had sentenced millions to death, but he had never faced anything like this. He had never faced humanity's wrath. The council station was dying. Fire burned in its corridors. Bodies of alien guards littered the floors. The lights flickered on and off as power systems failed one by one. The greatest symbol of galactic authority was being torn apart from the inside and the outside at the same time. Human Marines poured through the breached airlocks. They moved in teams of 4, quick and efficient. Their black armor was scarred from 100 battles. Their weapons never stopped firing. They had one mission: find the girl, kill anyone who stood in their way. Sergeant Kira Vasquez heard them coming before she saw them. She pushed Alara behind her and raised her fists. She had no weapon. She did not care. If any more aliens came through that door, she would kill them with her bare hands. The door exploded inward. 4 Marines rushed in. Kira was about to attack when she saw the flag on their shoulders, the blue and green of Earth. Sergeant Vasquez? The lead Marine asked. Kira let out a breath she did not know she was holding. That is me. This is Alara Chen. The Marine nodded. He looked at Alara, and his hard face softened just a little. Miss Chen, we are here to take you home. Alara started to cry. Not from fear this time, from relief. Thank you. Thank you. Save the thanks for later, the Marine said. We need to move. Admiral Tanaka is clearing a path to the hangar. Stay close and do exactly what we say. They moved through the burning station. Alara held Kira's hand tightly. All around them, she could hear fighting. Screams, explosions. The sound of a galaxy learning that humans were not weak. They passed a window. Alara stopped and stared. Outside, space was filled with fire and light. Ships were everywhere, twisting and shooting and dying. She saw a massive human dreadnought tear through a group of alien cruisers like they were made of paper. She saw escape pods launching from broken ships. She saw things she would remember for the rest of her life. Keep moving, Kira said gently. She pulled Alara away from the window. Do not watch. Just keep moving. In another part of the station, Admiral Yuki Tanaka walked through a corridor filled with smoke. 6 Marines followed her. In her hand was a pistol. It was old. Her grandmother had carried it in the Pacific War on Earth, over 100 years ago. Tanaka carried it now because some things required a personal touch. Supreme Arbiter is in the central chambers, one Marine reported. Sensors show he has 12 crystal guards with him. Only 12? Tanaka said. He should have brought more. They reached the doors to the central chambers. The doors were locked. Tanaka nodded to her Marines. They placed explosives on the hinges. Fire in the hole! The doors blew inward. The Marines rushed through, weapons blazing. The crystal guards fought back. They were strong and fast and had weapons that could cut through steel. But humans had fought worse. Humans had spent their history fighting things that wanted to kill them. The battle lasted 47 seconds. When it was over, all 12 guards were shattered on the floor. 2 Marines were wounded. None were dead. Supreme Arbiter. Thesson Moore stood alone at the far end of the chamber. Light pulsed frantically inside his crystal body. For the first time in 3,000 years, he looked afraid. "You cannot do this," he said. His voice was higher than before, desperate. "I am the Supreme Arbiter. I am the voice of galactic law. I am eternal." Tanaka walked toward him. Her boots crunched on the broken crystal of his guards. Her pistol was raised. "You sentenced a 12-year-old girl to death," she said. "Not because she committed a crime, not because she was dangerous, because she was inconvenient, because she saw something that embarrassed your allies." "The law demanded it," Thesson Moore shouted. "The law of inconvenient witnesses has existed for 10,000 years. Then it was wrong for 10,000 years. Tanaka stopped 3 meters away from him. "And you were wrong to enforce it. You are not the voice of law, Thesson Moore. You are a murderer hiding behind a title. You cannot kill me. The galaxy will never accept this. Other species will unite against you." Tanaka smiled. It was not a kind smile. "Let them. Humanity was born in fire. We grew up fighting everything that wanted to destroy us. Other animals, the weather, each other. We turned war into science. We made killing into art. If the galaxy wants to come for us, let them come. We have been waiting for a good fight." Thesson Moore tried to run. He was old and fast and had survived for 3,000 years by knowing when to flee. But Tanaka was faster. She fired twice. The first shot hit his leg. Crystal shattered and he fell. The second shot hit his chest. The light inside him flickered and began to fade. "Please," he whispered. "Mercy." Tanaka stood over him. She thought about Alara Chen, 12 years old, scared and alone in a cell, waiting to die because this creature thought her life was worth less than political convenience. "Did you show mercy to that child?" Tanaka asked. Thesson Moore did not answer. "That is what I thought." She fired one more time. The crystal body cracked and went dark. The light that had burned inside for 3,000 years finally went out. Supreme Arbiter. Thesson Moore, Judge of the Galaxy, died on the floor of his own chamber. Tanaka lowered her weapon. She felt no satisfaction, no joy, only a cold, heavy sense of duty completed. "Admiral," one of her Marines said, "we have the girl. She is safe. They are bringing her to the hangar now." Tanaka closed her eyes. For a moment, she let herself feel relief. "Good. Let us go home." In the hangar, Ilara saw the shuttle waiting for her. It was scarred and blackened from the battle, but it was the most beautiful thing she had ever seen. Standing beside it was her father. Marcus Chen looked like he had not slept in days. His clothes were wrinkled, his eyes were red, but when he saw his daughter, his face transformed into something like pure light. "Ilara! Daddy!" She ran to him. He caught her in his arms and held her so tight she could barely breathe. He was crying. She was crying. Kira Vasquez watched them and wiped her own eyes. "I thought I lost you," Marcus whispered. "I thought I lost you forever." "You came for me," Ilara said into his chest. "You all came for me." "Of course we did." He pulled back and looked at her face. "You are my daughter. You are a child of Earth. We will always come for you. Always." Admiral Tanaka arrived at the hangar. Her uniform was covered in dust and blood. Her face was tired but calm. She walked to Marcus and Ilara and stopped. "Ambassador Chen, Miss Chen." She nodded to both of them. "It is time to go. This station will not last much longer." Marcus looked at the Admiral. "Thesson Moore? He will not be sentencing any more children to death." Marcus nodded slowly. There was gratitude in his eyes, and something else. A terrible understanding of what humanity had done this day, what they had become. "Thank you, Admiral." Tanaka looked at Ilara. The little girl was still holding her father's hand. She was dirty and scared and exhausted, but she was alive. "Do not thank me," Tanaka said quietly. "Just take her home. Let her grow up. Let her have a good life." She turned and walked toward her shuttle. That is what this was all for. The human fleet withdrew as the station burned. They left behind the wreckage of over 2,000 enemy ships. They left behind the body of the Supreme Arbiter. They left behind a message written in fire and blood. Never touch our children. Never again. 1 year had passed since the Battle of Valanthos Prime. The galaxy was different now. Everything had changed. The Korvathi hegemony had fallen. When the truth about Ambassador Veth's assassination came out, their allies abandoned them. Three species that had lived under Korvathi rule for centuries declared independence. They asked humanity for protection. Humanity said yes. High Magistrate Zorath Velkan, the one who had started everything, was captured trying to flee to the outer territories. Human ships found him hiding on a cargo vessel. They brought him back to Earth in chains. His trial lasted 3 months. The evidence was overwhelming. He was found guilty of conspiracy to commit murder, conspiracy to execute an innocent child, and crimes against galactic peace. He now lived in a small cell in a prison beneath the ice of Antarctica. He would spend the rest of his very long life there. Every morning he woke up to white walls and silence. Every night he went to sleep, knowing that the humans he had dismissed as weak were the reason he would never see the stars again. The Galactic Council was rebuilt. New rules were written. The law of inconvenient witnesses was abolished forever. In its place came something called the Chen Doctrine, named after a 12-year-old girl. It said that no being, no matter what species, could be executed without a fair trial and proper representation. It said that children were protected above all else. It said that justice was more important than convenience. Humanity had a permanent seat on the new council, not because they asked for it, not because they negotiated for it, because no one in the galaxy dared refuse them. The other species watched humans differently now. They did not see weak creatures who had stumbled into space by accident. They saw something ancient and dangerous, something that had survived ice ages and plagues and world wars, something that protected its own with a fury that could burn down civilizations. Some species feared them, some respected them, a few began to admire them, but no one underestimated them anymore. On Earth, the day of the battle became a holiday. They called it Remembrance Day. It honored the 847 human soldiers who died fighting to save one little girl. Their names were carved into a wall of black stone in Geneva. Every year on that day, people came to read the names and remember. Admiral Yuki Tanaka retired from the Navy 6 months after the battle. She said she was tired. She said she wanted to see her grandchildren grow up. At her retirement ceremony, the president gave her the highest medal humanity could offer. She accepted it quietly and went home to her garden. Some nights she still dreamed of the battle. She dreamed of the ships burning, the Marines dying, the look on Thesson Moore's face when he realized that humans would not be stopped. She always woke up before dawn on those nights. She would sit in her garden and watch the sun rise, and she would think about the price of doing what was right. Sergeant Kira Vasquez was promoted to lieutenant, then to captain. She was offered many positions, many honors. She turned most of them down. Instead, she asked for one specific assignment. She became Alara Chen's personal bodyguard. Alara did not need much protection on Earth, but wherever she went, Kira went too. They ate breakfast together. They watched movies together. They talked about everything and nothing. Kira became something like an older sister, something like family. "You do not have to stay with me forever," Alara said one day. "You could do anything. Go anywhere. You are a hero." Kira smiled and shook her head. "I made you a promise in that cell. Do you remember? You said help was coming. That was one promise. The other one I made to myself." Kira looked at Alara with eyes full of warmth. "I promised I would make sure you grew up safe and happy. I plan to keep that promise." Alara hugged her. "Thank you, Kira. Thank me by living a good life, little one. That is enough." On the anniversary of the battle, the new Galactic Justice Hall was dedicated. It was built on the same station where Alara had almost died. The old chambers had been torn down. Something beautiful had been built in their place. Alara Chen, now 13 years old, gave the dedication speech. Thousands of beings from hundreds of species watched. Billions more watched on screens across the galaxy. She stood at the podium. Her hands were shaking a little, but her voice was clear. "1 year ago, I was a girl who saw something I should not have seen. For that, I was sentenced to die. The old law said my life did not matter. The old rulers said I was inconvenient." She paused and looked out at the crowd. "But my people did not accept that. They came for me. They fought for me. They died for me. Not because I was special, but because I was one of them." She took a breath. Today we dedicate this hall to a new idea. The idea that every life matters, that children must be protected, that justice is not about power or convenience. It is about doing what is right, even when it is hard. Her eyes found her father in the crowd. He was crying. He was always crying these days. Happy tears, he said. I am not a hero, Ilara continued. The heroes are the 847 soldiers who gave their lives to save mine. The heroes are Admiral Tanaka and Captain Vasquez and everyone who refused to let me die. I am just a girl who got lucky. She smiled a little. But I promise to spend the rest of my life trying to deserve what they did for me. I promise to stand up for those who cannot stand up for themselves. I promise to be worthy of the sacrifice. She stepped back from the podium. The hall erupted in applause. Species who had never agreed on anything stood together and cheered for a human child. In the crowd, an alien mother held her young daughter's hand. They were from a small species, one that had been oppressed for generations. The child looked up at her mother with wide eyes. Mother, why did the humans fight so hard for that girl? Her mother thought for a moment. Because when the galaxy told them to sacrifice one of their children for peace, they chose war instead. And they won. The child considered this. Would they do the same for us? Her mother looked at Alara on the stage. She looked at Captain Vasquez standing guard nearby. She looked at Ambassador Chen wiping his eyes. She thought about everything she had heard about humans, their history, their wars, their terrible, beautiful stubbornness. Yes, little one, she said softly. I believe they would. Why? Her mother smiled. Because that is what makes them human. That night, there was a celebration on Earth. Fireworks lit up the sky over every city. People danced in the streets. They sang old songs and made new memories. In Geneva, Ilara Chen stood on a balcony with her father and Kira. They watched the fireworks together. Dad, Ilara said, yes? Do you think it was worth it? All those people who died, just for me. Marcus was quiet for a long time. Then he put his arm around his daughter. Every single one of those soldiers would tell you yes, without hesitation, without regret. He looked up at the stars. Because that is who we are. We do not leave our people behind. We do not sacrifice our children. We fight for each other. He squeezed her shoulder. And we always will. Ilara leaned against her father. She watched the fireworks paint the sky in colors of fire and gold. She was 13 years old. She had been to the edge of death and back. She had seen the worst the galaxy had to offer and the best of humanity's spirit. And she knew with absolute certainty that she would spend the rest of her life making sure no other child ever had to go through what she went through. The galaxy had learned its lesson. Humanity protected its own, always, forever, no matter the cost.